Hello, everybody. It's time for Get Up, Fucking Stand Up. I think it would be funny if I did stand up. It might not be funny, but it would be funny. But everyone's got a podcast. Everyone's doing stand up. So we're going to stand so I can clear and you can clear. Take off your goggles. So always orient either north or south, right? That's a rule. There is the four directions, but east and west are living and dying, right? Because of the way the sun sets, birth and death, right? So if you want to invoke those directions, right, there's a time and a place. But for your body, right, you want the transverse wave, which is 90 degrees out of phase. So, right, bend the knees. Push out the lumbar, push in the thoracic, hug the tree. Right? It's not this, it's not this, it's like that, right? So what happens, right, while you're doing it? What happens while you're doing it is your fascia, right? You become subconsciously aware of whatever's being stored in that structure called the fascia. And you can unwind it yourself, right, by doing this. And you'll see where it's wound up just by doing this. So we'll just do 3 again. 3 breaths in for each position. Turn the hips under. Eyes to the horizon. A light face, right? Not stern, like a anything is possible face, right? So on this last out breath, right, I always stress it's a gossamer out breath, meaning it comes out so slow that it doesn't make a noise, right? And that same feeling of the breath leaving your lungs in that fashion, right, is the upward extension on your spine. It's almost like when it's the blowing smoke over a receptive, damp piece of paper, right? It opens it up. So, right, this isn't working how I thought it would, but so I'm just going to keep them here, all of these that I do. And when you find them, right, when you come across them, then do this standing, do the breath, right, and then listen, right? Do you really know what it means to listen? Right, to get past that first point of like, yeah, I'm not going to listen. So we got this is a hand tool, right? That is made of a material that was, it's the older material, right? So they can date these tools by the material that they used. So this is at least 8,000 plus, right? This thing, it's my lucky rock. Let's play a few notes. So yeah, everyone wants to make their lives better, make their bodies better, improve their own situation, right? And that your ships are coming in, everything's going to work out for you, or this or that, right? And the aggregate phenomenon of everyone living, right? Not everyone's going to hit it, right? That's just the way it is. And you could look at it like a computer program in a way, because all of these individual avatars combine to create an aggregate phenomenon, right? And the statistics are always pretty close. There's always going to be a certain amount, right? A certain amount of outliers, right? There's going to be the peak, the bell curve, the majority, and that's what runs society, that majority consensus belief system. So no matter if it's a false worldview, meaning that it's based on falsity, no matter, right? If the majority of people believe it, then it becomes operatively true. When in the relationships of society. So, my whole fucking point. That's what I want to reiterate, because even the most intellectual, right, people that I talk to can't deal with this, right? They can't handle it. And right? And that's indicative of this 7,000 years plus syndrome that we've been in, right? Is that when, right? At what point, right? Do we decide to make the change, right? Or even our best and our brightest are dumber than fuck, right? Because they just have this basic conception, right? Which is the initial conditions, right? For interacting, right? For relationship, right? Whatever you have in your mind about how you see the world, right? Is how you operate in the world. And so yeah, that's my frustration, is that even the most intelligent people can't understand this, right? And that's why, right? That's why we haven't been able to figure it out, right? It's not just supposed to run in circles. Right? There's actually something wrong with this place, right? This school, this soul school, if you want to talk about it like that. Right? It's not about your individual success or happiness or fulfillment, right? Because you're nothing in a vacuum. You are the only way you are an individual, right? The only way you can be an individual is if you are a part of the collective. And that's what makes being human human. So there's this, I always can see it in my mind, right? Perfectly. But actually saying it is hard, right? And my having to access, right, and pause in order to try to say it diminishes my the effectiveness of my delivery, right? But do you only want effective delivery, right? Do you only want a sweet package, right? That's fucking boring, right? The only way to get at these things is to go in between, in the seams, the negative space, right? So why not, let's figure this out, right? Let's not just keep doing the same thing. And for me to keep exclaiming, right, that the sky is falling, right? Whatever, they've been saying it since forever, right? Always on some street corner since Rome, right? Someone's been saying the sky is falling. And it's true, but it's like we don't completely destroy ourselves. There's this built-in sacrifice, right? And so even the Christians claim that right, that Jesus was sacrificed, right? And so there's this sacrifice, this ritualistic sacrifice built into that religion, right? Catholicism. And to me, that is the false construct, right? If you listen to the podcast, the one of the original gods that to show up to have a record of, right? That there is a record of, right? Is Mithras, right? And he's the god of contracts. And so once I found out that Mithras was the god of contracts, right, then I realized that was the takeover, that was the coup, that was the installation, right? Mithras is the demiurge, right? The demiurge builds a simulated creation on top of the actual creation and makes it seem like it's the real creation, right? And it was all fucking begins with sacrifice, which is that the mythic representation of what Mithras did, right? Is to sacrifice the bull and then all of this bounty is comes from the sacrifice, right? And so, yeah, it's built in, right, that we need to sacrifice in order to flourish, right? And no, that's fucking bullshit. And so, how are you gonna come at these people? Like I was saying yesterday, that Christianity has done nothing to alter the pattern that we continually exhibit over time. It's just, and I said it was controlled opposition, and I thought about it some more, and it's actually the original best version of controlled opposition, right? You're born into sin, right? And you spend your whole life atoning for that, right? By trying to be good. But your attempt to be good is always in response to something that is perceived as evil or bad. And so then that's that polarity, right? Is that evil will be in a superior position while good is in an inferior, and then good will win out and get a superior position, and then that's the principle of rhythm. So the principle's natural law is in effect, right, in the operation of society, but it's a false polarity, right? So the initial conditions, right, the equation that begins, right, the whole unfolding of society, right? It's just like the way the universe unfolds, right? In the 3D space of the universe, right? Time does actually go from beginning towards some eventual outcome, right? Whatever that is. In the 3D portion of the totality, there is a passage of time, and consciousness in that 3D, right? It becomes aware of that passage of time. And right in the upper dimensions, time doesn't have this quality. And so we're here, right? We have this divine spark, each of us, right? We are divine beings with a mortal body, right? We get to come into the 3D portion of this totality, right? And we get to be creative, right? I mean, what kind of that's the greatest gift, right? And so it's this is what we're here to do, right? We're not here to necessarily just have a good life, right? We're not here to struggle and suffer, right? We actually could set it up so that we, all of us, right, can be part of this creative endeavor, right, that is in alignment with universe, right? And so it's so obvious that our artificial constructed reality, right, this if you want to say that that awareness that we create our own reality, it's not even, it's so true in civilization, right? It's so true in civilization, but it's the mundane version of that, which is that it's a consensus belief structure, right? And so it's completely arbitrary to the natural world. Right? It's just that we all believe this, and we all believe it, the majority, right? It's so fucking retarded. And there's no awareness of it. There's no consideration that it might not be the way, right? That there's options, that it's not the only thing available. So, right, how do we fucking change the pattern, right? So we change the initial conditions, right, which is the the mode of operation of each of us, right, is contained in here. And the most, if you want to get down to the root cause of something, right, it is the most basic conception of what this place that we're in and what our bodies are. The most basic idea of what that is the initial conditions that sets up all of the interactions that we have in relationship with each other and the world. So it's not hard to change your mind, you know. It's not that difficult. But okay, so the irony is that if we can change our worldview to something that's more accurate, you know, something that's more whole, like holistic. That's a shitty word, but holistic. Just whole, right? And there's all these sayings, you know, and there's nothing new under the sun. We got Marcus Aurelius saying shit that, you know, we could take today and be like, that's spot on, you know, that's 2,000 years old. So obviously, right, there is a better interpretation, right, of whatever this is. And so in order to actually see the world, right, we have to remove the world view of it, right? In order to see the world, we have to take away our worldview, which has been installed like a program, right? And so the root cause of this disease in our culture, right? Because it is, right? There's something sick, right, about it. The root cause of it is the way we see the world, right? Which is the programs that we run, right? The program that has been installed, right? The Matrix isn't a program that has been written and runs, and we are inside of it, right? The Matrix has been written and installed in our fucking minds, right? And because whatever we believe on aggregate, in the majority, becomes the operating principles of our organization, right? Then that's it right there. The Matrix is installed. There's no need to fucking have a super fucking quantum fucking server to run all this shit on. So the Earth isn't flat, right? But 3D appears flat to the higher dimensions. So, right, the cosmic egg is all of the cosmos, right? And it's a drawing that someone made way back when. Because how are you going to draw multiple dimensions? So you basically convert the third our space, right? Our plane of the cosmic egg, which is this physical, right? The physical realm. Make it into 2D, right? So that you don't have to draw all the extra dimensions. That's what's going on there, you guys. The firmament is likely that it's just really fucking dangerous in space, right? Really fucking dangerous. That's what prevents us. Or there's, this other thing, which is that Earth actually has this parasite, right? That the rest of the galactic community has quarantined here. And so, right, we've been taken over by a parasite, right, that has installed these programs in our minds, right, that is the way then that becomes the way we perceive the world. So the root cause is our perception. The only way to perceive in a whole fashion is to remove the programs, right? Remove the programs. And the most basic program that we are all operating on, and that even the most brilliant, right, of us in the world cannot wrap their heads around, is this idea of value, right? What is value? And our definition of value is something that is um, um, that is of a limited supply. I mean, that's the most basic way of saying it. Obviously, it's in demand because of certain realities about what it is to have a body, right? And so value begins with the preservation of a living body, right? That's where value starts. That's the origin of our conception of value, right? But because of our particular mode of operation in the world, right, which is this social collection, right, and this sharing of knowledge, right, and this cataloging and storage of our collective accumulation, right. And this is where it gets tricky, right? Because look, the origin of value is because, right, we're alive, right? So if you think about what are the things that are required for a body to stay alive, right? Right? Nutrition, hydration, right? Nutrition, hydration, right? What are the other ones? Fucking shelter, right? There's this construction quality, right? Even in a cave, modifying a motherfucking cave, right? Clothing, right? Because we're naked, right? And we operate in all of these climate zones, right? Clothing, communication, energy, right? Transportation, right? So if we go back to the hunter-gatherer mode, right? Nutrition, hydration, right? These things are of value, right? And so our purpose is to acquire, right, a source of hydration and the ability to collect and take in uh, material that sustains us, right? And so all of the other things, right, are to support those two things, right? So for human beings, right, energy, right? So this is has its root in nutrition, right? Because obviously, right, it's like fuel, right? Food is fuel for the body. Um, um, but there's this ingenuity aspect that is required for a human being, right? And so we have clothing, right? And communication, right? And communication is vital for the continued production of our items that are required, right? That we make ourselves, right? So, right, the acquisition of nutrition, right? All that is what drives everything else, right? First, you stay alive through the night, right? Right. Then the next day, right, you figure out a way to acquire some kind of sustenance. So basically, what I'm getting at really is the origin of value, right? And so for a human being, because our bodies uh, uh, aren't specialized, right? We're generalized, right? We're built in a way that permits us to, right, adapt to different um, ecosystems. Right, this is the origin of the exchange, right? Because so what I'm getting at is the root cause of our fucking problem, right? And it's our conception of value, like the way we see value. We see value as if it's a limited supply that is in demand, right? Then that is of high value, right? And that is derivative of existing in an environment where the materials and the resources are not just fucking laid out there, right? They are deposited and concentrated, right, in areas, right? So there's a clear difference between, a nice habitation zone and a shitty one, right? And so, but the point is about the human beings, right? Is that once we came together as a cooperative organization, right? And that cooperation was based on value, right? Which was based on our own manufactured value, right? An artificial value and based on artifice, right? Based on creativity, right? So art, right? Artifice, artificial, the things that we make, right, are valuable because they improve our ability to take in sources of value that are available in the environment. You guys fucking following? Jesus Christ, man. Why do I even fucking say all this shit over and over and over again? Right? It's because of this, right? Is that when human beings are a particular kind of creature, right? And once we organize, right, then we become a new body, a new creature, right, in which we are the cells, right? And so now it becomes counterproductive, right? In order to compete, in order to remove a portion of that body to make sure another portion, right, is feels secure, right, with a larger pile of material in order to feel safe, right? Once we organize the principle of value, right, the idea of what value is, right, changes. It actually inverts, right? And so it goes actually, it's against our nature, right, to compete for resources, right? Because that breaks up the organization, right? That destroys the organization and destroys its ability to extract resources, right, as a entity, right? Because an organization of humans is an entity, right? Everyone has a job, right? Not everyone does the same job, right? There is a division of labor. And So, um, the driving impetus, the motivation for organization is value, right? Um, is the value in a collected store of knowledge, right? Because our ability to make tools, right, is what motivates an organization, because the value of tools is an attractor, right? And you can't maintain production of tools without sharing of information, and so it becomes uh, um, an organized unit, right? And so it's counterproductive. Um, well, sure, right? I can see your counter arguments, right? And this is why smart people can't get over this, right? They cannot get over this, is because, oh, but wait a minute, there's always going to be there's going to be instances where there's not enough for everyone, and there's going to be instances where there's a certain supply of resources, and then suddenly an influx of extra individuals will put stress on that uh, uh, supply, right? um, but it and this is purely a fucking physical, a material fucking analysis, right? This doesn't have anything to do with that we are divine creatures, right? And that we are not our bodies, and we live on, that we continue. There's a memory of that is stored outside of this flesh, gray matter, right? There's a memory that is that continues on without the body, right? There's something there. There's some transcendental component to our living bodies, right? Right. I mean, I use that when you know who you are, then you stop trying to. You understand, right? That um, in the attempt to protect your body and to preserve your life, only um, doesn't bring anything new into the world, right? That is the same pattern, right? It's the same furrow, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm trying to come at it from the point of it's a material fucking issue, right? And that it's actually way more effective, right? Um, to have a cooperative mindset, right? To understand that the more minds available, the better, the the higher the odds of a positive outcome, right? And so fast forward to now, right? So yeah, right. In the past, um, we haven't had the ability, right? Uh, we can function in a competitive mindset, right? Which is the artificial, which is the supply and demand version of value, right? Which is that there's a limited supply and I better get mine, right? We can function that way, um, but it's not optimal. And it creates a lot of suffering that is unnecessary. Um, so this singularity that we're arriving at now after all of this time, right? Um, actually, it makes it possible, right, to operate from a conception of value that isn't based on scarcity, right? We have, right, the technology. We have the technology now to create an infrastructure that in which everyone can participate and no one is excluded, and then this maximum rate of contribution, right, maximizes our creation of value, right? Because it's more and more value. The more people that contribute, the more value that is created, right? So we actually have the technology now to make sure that any limited supply, right, can be managed, right, and that and so we don't end up with this fucking bullshit stratification, right, that repeats the same pattern over and over again, right? And it is based on self-reference, right? There's no space for anything new because everyone thinks that this is just how it is, right? So, I mean, yeah, I'm demonstrating to y'all that it is difficult to understand, right? And it's difficult to explain. But if I try to, like, I've tried to write it down, right? And I've talked about it in the podcast, right? The podcast message is fucking fully delivered, right? Except for the principle of gender, which I'm just going to do by myself, it looks like. I have a few people that wanted to do it, and I had to say no. And so I'm just going to have to do it. And then hopefully some of y'all will make a comment and we can create a discussion then after that. But so the root cause of our fucking problem is our conception of value, right? We see value as only a something that's rare, right? The more rare it is, the more valuable it is, right? And this is how our whole society is structured, right? And so to understand, it's the inverse of that, actually, right? Is that we get more value because we understand that every single person, right, adds to that pool of value, right? And so there's no one person or there's no group of people that is elevated above another, right? So value is actually infinite, right? But you can't raise the price on an infinite supply, right? And so that basically says it all right there. Says it all right there. Is that the value pool, right? For being human is created by people living. There's no value without people doing their thing, right? And so we are the value, right? We are the value, and we add to the supply, and it's always increasing, right? So the diminishment of the supply, the appearance, the created perception of a limited supply, right, keeps us in this way of thinking and keeps us in this cycle, right? And so if we are the value, right, then who fucking owns that supply? Who is raising the price on us, right? Right? Who is lowering or raising the price on us? Because there's no value in this civilization, in the society, in the economy, right? Absolutely. All of the value is created by people living, right? And so the appearance of a diminishing supply of value or of available life, right? Available things that sustain life, right? Maintains the status quo, right? It maintains our conception of value as a scarcity model, right? As that everyone's in competition for a limited supply, right? And so, except for the ones who, quote, own the supply, right? They're not. And so, yesterday I was describing this parasite, right? Right. So that they just fucking live for free, right? While maintaining the structure. It's absolutely necessary for the capstone to maintain the scarcity model of value, right? And so what's really hard to get over is that yeah, there are limited fucking resources. Yeah, but we have the ability, right? At this point, after 10,000 generations of people living, the value created, right, is sufficient so that we can actually operate as a civilization and interface with nature in a balanced way, right? So it's not fucking crazy. So the inverse conception of value is that it's unlimited. That um, value is actually an unlimited supply, and that if we promote living, right, if we promote what it means to be a human being, which is to provide value to others, right, and in exchange receive value, right. Um, then if we facilitate that, then the value pool will only fucking start growing faster, right? Um, and people will be living better, right? And that doesn't increase the population, right? It's actually hard living that raises the birth rate, right? It is um, a somewhat a feeling of security that actually diminishes the birth rate. And it's not a decision by mothers or families to have more kids. It's not cognitive, it's fucking automatic, right? Um, so the first world, the balance is coming due right now, right? But ever since, um, well, forever, there's been this setup, right, for the colonial powers basically to extract resources from the equatorial regions. And so that's the way it's been set up, right? If you read that Confessions of an Economic Hitman, the whole reason the quality of life in the first world is what it is, right? Is because it's been stolen from the third world. So that's not the way to go, right? It's like, oh, it's like I love my country, and it's like, yeah, the whole reason it is the way it is because there's this um, uh, like a vacuum, right, set up to just suck resources from the poorer countries. And so that bill is coming due now, and that's it was unsustainable, right? So um, the architects of our, the authorities know this, and so then they create all of these, um, um, you know, everything is curated, right? So everything is curated in order to get an effect, right? In order to to adjust the programming, right? So anyway, uh, the idea, right. What I want to do is to say, right, that value is infinite, right? If we permit the and facilitate the living of life, of the living of being human, right? If we facilitate the human mode of living, which is to exchange value with others, right? We can build an infrastructure that uh, right, it's uses our accumulated knowledge, right, and then to set up a structure that permits the absolute maximum input of new knowledge, right? which is to facilitate people living, right? You maximize the instances of input, right? And when you maximize that, right, then the output, right, the likelihood of a quality output goes fucking through the roof, right? We have free energy, right? Just to implement free energy would fucking make it change everything, right? So, um, yeah. I'm just responding to a comment. That's why I need your support, you guys. This isn't like, yeah, I'm gonna try to do some output that's entertaining, and maybe this is fucking entertaining. For a second, y'all come in and chuckle at the guy who's standing, right? But no one else is attempting, right? Anything. It's all inside the current structure that everyone is doing something, and so nothing will be done. In fact, that's part of the data collection. That's part of the furious fucking circle run, right? The running in circles like Conan on his fucking grinding mill when he was getting all strong, just going in circles, creating a furrow in the fucking ground. Right? You can't fix the system with the system. So, right, I'm the only one on the periphery, and I've always been on the periphery, but I fucking care, right? I don't want to just have a good life and die, right? My ambition is to create this, right? This infrastructure that facilitates living and that recognizes that the value is us, right? Is all of us living, right? That's the only way. And to facilitate that, then you just maximize the pool of value, right? So there actually is, right? When I say value, it's not, right? Everyone talks about values, right? But it's just value. It's just value. And everyone talks about solutions, right? But it's just solution, right? There's value and the solution. It's singular, right? Because once we take care of that, which is, right, to change the initial conditions, right? Once we take care of that, then the pattern, right, the aggregate pattern, the way that we interact with each other, our relationship, right, changes, and the whole thing fucking changes, right? So, yeah, there's not an unlimited supply of fucking trees, right? But they continually to grow, right? It's just that we take them out faster than they fucking get put in, right? There's a material problem. Yes. I'm not saying that everything is just abundant, right? I'm saying that the way we operate is, if we operate in conflict and in competition with each other, then that's just Conan on his fucking circle wheel, right? We're just grinding, and nothing's happening. So, but when we operate from the mindset of everyone is valuable, right? Everyone adds value, then, right, changes the pattern. And so the initial conditions are, right, the only way anything new can come into this fucking world is if we stop referencing the past, right? And thinking is the past. There's no thoughts without experience, right? There is no thoughts. And so for the new thinking to come in, you have to let go, right? You have to stop the continual revisiting, right? The self-reference, right? We have to cease self-reference, right? And so then we can bring something new into this world instead of just grinding. And so when I ask for your help, you guys, right, I want your feedback. I want to have discussions, right, where you have issues with what I'm saying, if I can bring it up, right? And also, right, some level of comprehension, right? Instead of just, it's like, oh, look, there's another guy with an opinion, right? So I've laid out an objective truth that cannot be denied, right? It's not opinion. And that is that humans live by exchanging value with each other, right? And two, right, that exchange has been corrupted and taken over by some kind of thing, whether it's, you call it the elite, right, the global elite or whatever, fine, just call it that. But our exchange, right, our sacred exchange of value between each other, the way that we live, has been hijacked and corrupted. And that is the fucking problem, right? And so all of this other stuff that people talk about in the truther community, right? It doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, we may be in a simulation. It definitely is virtual, but it's not, doesn't have an external programmer. The programmer is the actual thing. But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. We're here. We're here, right? And we have a collective mission, and it's not everything is just about you getting what you want in life. Right? The idea is that we transform Earth, right? We transform it, right? We we embellish it, right? So that it's awesome. That's the idea. And so get on board. Get on board. Help me out. Because I've been living my whole life for this. And it hasn't been easy, right? And I am alone. There's the cursory or the, the token nod, that I get here or there, right? But we can actually, like, it's possible to fucking be the cause, right? It's possible to be the effect, actually, that creates the cause, right? This is what I've been saying, right? This is the retrocausality, ever-present origin, right? The what the creator had intended, right? So stop looking at this as like just another way to see the world, right? One, it's an exchange, right? Two, the initial conditions are how you change the aggregate interaction of relationship, right? The way we see the world. Value is the core of how we perceive the world. Value, right? How we define value, how we conceive of value, right? Is colors our interactions, right? This is all objective. This is all not opinion, right? This is all objective. So that's what I keep trying to fucking, to get some inroads on y'all, right? Let's team up. Let's collaborate, right? If you comprehend what I'm saying and you are working on a program, bring me in to consult, right? I want to work on this shit. Or if you comprehend what I'm saying, right, and you want to fucking collaborate, then the best way to do that is to help me fucking begin, right? Help me start to build this infrastructure, right? Get behind it, right? Get behind me, right? I'm the only one, as far as I know. If there's others out there, fucking let me know that um, aren't just being like, we're just gonna let it play out how it plays out, right? And we'll talk about all this other crazy shit in the meantime, right? Is that we can actually we can be the effect, right? That creates that causes the outcome that was always meant to be. So fucking yeah, I need your help, right? Um, and let me know, right? Let me know who else out there is saying um, it doesn't matter. None of this shit. It's entertaining, yeah, and it's interesting to talk about. None of it fucking matters, right? Unless we um, reestablish the sacred exchange, right? Reestablish the sacred exchange, the non to remove the corruption from the exchange of value, right, between human beings, to remove that thing, right, that's on it and just extracting fucking value out of our exchange for its own gain without fucking um, doing anything else except for that, right? The disclaimer is, right, I'm fucking a badass, man. I'm a fucking badass. Right? And that's not ego, right? That's just how it is. That's just fucking how it is, right? But I don't have stuff, right? I don't have a network, right? I'm completely alone. And I just have my children. And, you know, I came here for a fucking reason, you know. And to say that it's just about experience is like, that's an affront to me, right? Um, this there's something that can be done, right? And I don't want to be like Krishnamurti, right? 87 years old, his whole life, and he's sitting there saying the same thing he said a fucking thousand times, 10,000 times in 19 fucking 86 or whatever. It's not that you believe me, right? It's that you know, right? That this is the fucking case, right? That, right? That we live through exchange and that the exchange has been hijacked and we can fucking extricate ourselves from it. And how we do that? How do we fucking do that? Right? Change the initial conditions, right? Change our minds, right? Change our conception of value, right? How do we do that? We stop defending our fucking psychological sense of self, right? Um, Stop the internal conflict, stop the division, right? And anything that puts you in a camp, right? This isn't a fucking camp, right? This is humanity, right? I'm not on a side. I don't have a fucking tribe. Um, so yeah, I'm critiquing you, right? All y'all who fucking think the world is flat, right? Who believe that shit, right? That's just a division, right? Another dividing line, right? And division is the problem, right? Uh, Supply and demand model of value, the scarcity model of value is about division, right? It's about dividing up, right? Who gets what and who has status, right? Who has priority, right? Division is the motherfucking problem, right? And so I've said before that a divided consciousness, right? Divided consciousness, when it's enacted, right, which is what we're doing, right, it creates a time loop, right, that we cannot extricate ourselves from. It's like built into the universe, unless, right, we remove the division, right? And everyone wants to be able to identify themselves, right? And removing the division doesn't diminish that ability, right? So hey there. So 1 hour of fucking rambling, but I don't need anything, right? I can just do this, right? I'll just do the best I can, but I want, right? I want y'all's help, and I don't want to fucking be entertainment. I want you to entertain new thinking. Right? So that's the entertainment. I want you to create a space, right, to host new ideas, right? And it's not self-reference, right? If you want to look at me for credibility, right, that is the scarcity model of value, right? Credibility is based on is a popularity index, right? Right, so which is demand, right, for a limited supply. Right, that's how we identify quality, right? Is like, how big is your followership, right? How you identify quality is actually listening to the information, right, and assessing it, and using your intuition and your intellect, your entire fucking perception apparatus to evaluate, right? And right, so I need your fucking help. I want your help. I keep saying need, but yeah, we can we can begin, right, with an infrastructure that gives the sacred exchange, right, so that we can all jump ship. We can all jump ship to the sacred exchange from the corrupted one, right? So there's actually something that can be done, right? And it's all initiated, right, to show the unity, right, to show that value comes from everyone living, right, that there no one is more valuable than any other. The hierarchy, right, like an old person with a lot of knowledge would seem to be of a higher echelon, right, than a child, right, than a toddler, right. But right, that's not the hierarchy. That is an arbitrary hierarchy, because this child could become anything, right? So yeah, I'm just saying that everyone is equally valuable, despite whatever specializations or gifts that they were born with, right? If everyone gets a chance to contribute, then the value supply only fucking spikes. So that's what I want to do, right? First, right, we change, we make the psychological transformation, right? Which is the initial conditions. This is where the matrix is installed. This is where the program is installed, right? So we wipe the fucking program and we install the new one, which is natural, right? And we can build this thing, right, which I have conceived of and visualized, right? Help me out, right? If you all have to, then fucking help me out. I could start to explain it, right? How we can use a topological math model to fucking operate the exchange network, right? Right?
none of y'all would fucking get it. I could give you my best ideas. I could just lay them out right here, right? And it wouldn't fucking matter. And that's basically what's happened so far in my life, right? Because I'll fucking show you fucking brilliant idea. I'll show it to you right in your fucking face. And it's like camouflage, right? It's camouflage because it's coming from here, right? It's coming from this source, right? Which is an isolated fucking source, right? No followership whatsoever. So can't evaluate information unless it comes from a source that already is evaluated, that is credible. So anyway, right? I got a warehouse, man, a warehouse of motherfucking ideas, and get on board, right? Make them your own, right? But I'm not gonna just uh, throw it out there, I guess, right? It's too fucking good, right? I need to be able to fucking live too, right? And I'm barely fucking handling. So it's time for a fresh start. It's time to fucking get this ball rolling. And I'll just keep broadcasting for the time being until the fucking I get a strike. Not a strike on YouTube, but a strike on my line. Right? I'm casting out the hooks, y'all. Y'all are fucking not interested in these flies. But we're all fishermen. Okay, I gotta end this. But I love you, love y'all, and the idea is to create a positive outcome. Right? Is to be the effect that causes the positive outcome. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I want y'all to do.